Everybody, this is Perch. How much do you care if a title is successful or not? And let me back up a second and kind of explain where I'm going with this. I have a filter kind of in how I view the business, and I recognize and I acknowledge a lot of this came from a retailer perspective. A lot of this is when you're having to sell comics. I think you very quickly kind of sort into two categories. Category one is, hey, here are the things I like, and I'm going to support things I like. And if I lose money or I make money, it's irrelevant because I want to sell the things I like. And that's an admirable, cool place to be. And then there's category B, which is where I fall in, which is, hey, what sells? I'm selling that. And that's where it's at. I have lots of hobbies. I have things I like. I have things I enjoy. If you listen to retrospectives with Joe and I think that is a perfect one to kind of to that's where I'm talking about things I love, the things I enjoy. It's you're getting very honest, unfiltered opinions. And generally in this channel, I'm telling you kind of what I think, or at least I'm putting a disclaimer in. But when you're selling stuff, you sell what sells. That's what that's what businessmen, businesswomen, that's what people do. If you don't sell what sells, then you're I don't know, then you're I don't know what you're doing at that point. Um, to me, I have a very there's a word for this, and I'm not remembering at this exact moment. I've had a lot of beer today. Um, there's a word for this, which is like you have a kind of a trigger or a filter, where if it falls below the filter, you stop caring. And that's how I view certain things in comics. So when we're talking about like the Unstoppable Wasp, or we're talking about America Chavez, or we're talking about Iceman, or books like that, it's like once the book drops below, say, 15,000 copies or 20,000 copies, I stop thinking about it a lot because those books are going to satisfy specific customers, but they're not going to pay rent. They're not going to matter from a bigger, staying open perspective. And in this case, and I'm sorry, I know there's various comic creators that listen to this and they get irritated. I'll do this entire video not talking about the X books because I know there's a whole fan base there that gets really mad when you say things like this. But look, if your comic is coming in under, say, 20,000 in sales, it's unlikely that it matters to the comic retailer. It's you no longer, you're not what drives the decision process. You're not what keeps the lights on. You're not what pays rent. And so the comic shop still cares about you from the perspective of customers are going to come in and they're going to say, I really want, this comic. I love Wasp. I put Wasp on my pull box. I want it. You'll order it for that person because you're a dumb business person if you're not. But you don't think about it much beyond that. And I have a very, more than most, I've been told, a very aggressive filter of if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I don't have any emotion toward it. I think that a lot of people who listen to this channel, maybe this explains things for some people. I don't care. It's like if the comic is coming in at 6,000 copies, I don't feel positive or negative about it. I don't sit there going, "Oh man, why is Marvel publishing this trash?" I don't think that. It's not worth the time to think about. That's what I'm trying to convey here. It's like if it's not going to aid you in any way, it's not worth thinking about. And to me, it's been healthy for me. I'm not going to try and guess whether that's good for you or not, but for me, it's a very healthy way of looking at the business because it's very in or out. Like, is this comic going to drive my success or my failure? And if the answer is no, I don't care. I'm more alarmed. What eats up more of my time as a retailer is if I'm looking at, say, I don't know, the Immortal Hulk, and the Immortal Hulk is selling 80,000 copies a month, and in my shop, I'm able to sell 100 copies of Immortal Hulk, so I'm very happy. And then a month later, or 2 months later, if Immortal Hulk is suddenly selling, 50 copies a month, it's gone from 100 to 50. I am very alarmed, and I'm thinking about it a lot. and I'm caring about what's going on in that title, and I'm starting to look into, did Al Ewing insult all the Jewish people on Twitter, or what happened? What went on that is causing this comic that was comfortably selling 100 copies to go down to 50? I am very interested in that conversation. It's of high importance to me. What is not important is, say, America Chavez selling 2 copies. Like, if it goes from 2 copies to 3 copies, or 2 copies to 1 copy, I don't care. It's noise. At that point, it is noise. I'm ordering that comic for people in boxes. I don't spend a lot of time fantasizing if America Chavez would go from like 2 copies to 100 copies. I don't know. It's a dumb fantasy. I don't have that in my DNA to really care what's going to happen at that point. And I feel like, of course this works for me, may not work for other people. That's fine. But I would say this is a relatively healthy way to view the business if you're in business. Now, I get it if you're a creator, if you're the publisher, if you're a customer. Let's say you're a customer and you really love America Chavez. Cool. I love David Lynch. I absolutely love and adore David Lynch. David Lynch is, as I've said before many times on this channel, he is not moving billions of dollars of Hollywood money. David Lynch does a weather report where he literally tells the weather from his house in California. I find it hilarious. It's not making any money to anyone. So I am not surprised that, say, Paramount or Disney or Universal or Fox or whoever's left, HBO, Warner Media, I'm not surprised that those people, those executives, they do not think about David Lynch very much, because David Lynch's impact into this industry is insignificant. It kind of doesn't matter. Now, if I go on Twitter, I will find lots of people who will happily tell you that David Lynch is the most amazing filmmaker of all time. And I agree. I think he's an amazing filmmaker. I will happily, agree. But at the same time, I'm not going to lose my mind and be a crazy a-hole if David Lynch is not handed the next James Bond film. Because, of course, he's not. He doesn't make any money. If he was handed the next James Bond film, I would say, hey, as a fan, that sounds hilarious. I will definitely watch that movie. If I had any money in the studio, I would be terrified right now because you've done that. Comics has the very unusual position of people who are making these decisions are handing over major franchises and major parts of their business to unproven, or worse, proven bad creators. And when I say bad, I mean sales. I purely mean sales. A lot of these people are wonderful unicorns who make amazing stories, and it's super. But they're not going to pay rent. They're not going to keep lights on. None of that matters. And I get that this is an icky conversation because, ew, I mean, who wants to talk? God, I mean, why are we bringing money into this? It's supposed to be creative, artistic endeavor. I get it. But, for people who are operating a shop, and at the moment, the comic industry is wholly dependent on the direct market. Not wholly dependent, I'm sorry. There is digital that is kind of a joke, and then there's trade paperbacks that are sold through Amazon and other places. But by and large, it's dependent on the direct market. And I tell you, comic industry, you should not be dependent on the direct market. And I say this as somebody who is the direct market. You should go and get money elsewhere outside of us, because we're not big enough to support you. If you're going to just stick with us, that's a bad decision. But if you're going to do that, then you need to radically change your strategy, because a lot of the stuff you publish does not sell in the direct market. Sorry, it doesn't. So we can all pretend that the money's all coming from somewhere else, but it isn't. I think we all know that at this point. And so we have a choice. You can make something that fits the market you're currently selling in, or you can go find another market. And either road is okay with me. Do whatever you like. But what is unacceptable is to say, hey, we're going to not explore any other options for selling our content, and we're going to pretend that the decisions we're making are appropriate for that market, even though they absolutely are not. That is lunacy, and that's the thing that gets me more worked up than anything else. Not, is there this social agenda or that social agenda or anything else? I don't care. Does it sell or does it not sell? It's very black and white to me. I I definitely feel if you're a creator and you're going, hey, I want to put out artistic. I've got this idea. I want to have creative freedom. Cool. As a creator, you should be able to make those choices. You should be able to make those things. But as a publisher, you do have to keep the lights on. I mean, God damn it. This is like, I feel like I'm talking to a 4-year-old. I like, come on. This isn't that hard. It is insanity. I don't know. Like I mentioned at the beginning, to me, once a title slips below a point where it's absolutely not contributing in any way to the bigger picture or even the medium picture, I stop caring just completely. There's no emotion. There's not positive emotion. There's not negative emotion. There's no emotion. And I think that is weird for people to deal with. I have been told that's colder than, say, just roasting a comic or roasting an idea. But this is real life. This is actually what happens in the world. I I admit to being baffled at many times in my life by how people struggle with this concept, because I don't think it's that unusual or weird or surprising, because this is how the world works. But at any rate, I say this from the standpoint of, look, there are plenty of examples of comics that sell. Not all the comics that I love are strong sellers, and I'm willing to accept that as a consumer. And at the end of the day, we want this comic industry to grow. That's, I think, the goal. That's my goal. I don't think that's everybody's goal, but that's my goal. And so we should make decisions that aid in that process. Anyway, I thought I'd kind of explain that a little bit because, like I said, there's been a decent amount of confusion, I think, where this is concerned. And I think it's easy to get turned around on it. But, to me, I mean, having a conversation about America Chavez selling, 6,500 copies a month, it's I mean, it's silly at that point. There's no conversation to be had at that level. It's nothing. Oh, there's my car telling me I'm about to back into something. Anyway, hey, like and subscribe. You go through the comments, not the comments, what am I saying? The description of this video, and it will tell you exactly how to get in touch with me. I am going through email this weekend. I hope to hear from you. Thanks for listening.